Thank you for being on my YouTube channel, One Race, a Human Race. Defund the police really means realigning police funds. In other words, police should not have to be the social workers, psychologists, sociologists, pastors. They shouldn't have to do all that type of work. Okay, they should be doing policing. And so we need to make sure that we have social programs that elevate and help people. Also, we need to have gun control in order to protect our police. Protect our police. So defund the police means that we need to realign police funding so that police can do their job, all right? We need the police, and that they should not be psychologists, social workers, anthropologists, sociologists, ministers, rabbis, imams, pastors. No. And they need funding in the community so that communities can all be uplifted, all communities throughout America.
The city in which I stand still bears the deep scars of a summer of protest, initially kicked off by police brutality and racial injustice, and then fueled by federal agents operating without accountability and acting with violence towards civilians. To this day, weekly protests continue here in Portland, and many storefronts remain boarded up. Police brutality was on full display in this city in a way many hadn't seen since the civil rights movement. Much of it egged on by a president who didn't want to address underlying concerns about social justice. A movement that used the term defund the police grew here as night after night Americans watched protesters clash with authorities. Since then, the discussion about what defund the police really means has flourished. Does it really mean remove the funding for police? Or is it a more nuanced call to reallocate some of the hundreds of billions of dollars spent on policing and direct that toward nonviolent conflict resolution methods that include specialized training in mental health, domestic violence, and substance abuse? The debate was renewed this week when former President Obama referred to defund the police as an unhelpful, snappy slogan. Now, the former president got some pushback from progressives who believe it's not merely a slogan, but rather a mandate, a very specific mandate. For those people, the words defund the police actually mean just that: completely defund the police. For others, it means taking large chunks of money away from police budgets in a fashion that is meant to be punitive in addition to being prescriptive. For others yet, the conversation is more nuanced. A discussion about whether our shared resources, the money that pays for policing, could be better distributed to make communities and people safer and to ensure a more equitable application of justice. Different public safety scenarios have different needs that over time we have bundled into policing, but for many police, every problem is a nail, and the only tool they have is a hammer. Or behind every problem is a possible criminal, and the only tool they have is violence. This is a tough but important discussion. A June poll from HuffPost and YouGov showed only 27% of Americans supported the idea of defunding the police. Without agreeing on what the term means, though, it's tough to know what the respondents really meant. A more recent poll by a Democratic pollster after the election showed the term defund the police may have hurt Democrats in down-ballot races, with 35% of respondents saying the issue made them, quote, less likely to vote for Democrats. Putting the term defund the police aside, the idea that justice should be meted out equally and policing should be done equitably shouldn't even be remotely controversial. The part that is what we do about it. And I don't pretend to know the answer, but I was out among the protesters in Minneapolis and Chicago and New York this summer, and I heard their anger. And we've talked about it a lot on this show. I understand that in Barack Obama's world of reason, an informed debate about this makes sense. That was a different world in which the President of the United States did not seek to foment discord between blacks and whites, between police and the communities that they are sworn to protect, between cities and suburbs. Obama didn't berate Americans to choose between black lives and blue lives. Obama was attempting what Obama always attempted as president. He was nuanced, not a binary president. But the violence that we have seen this year and the current president's absolute inability to effectively contend with that violence pushed people toward binary and seemingly uncompromising conclusions. Defund the police may not be the most artful term, and it may actually be politically harmful. But it does represent an important sentiment held by many in this nation, and it's time for the next president to lead the conversation that slogan demands.